Second. Okay, all right, now we can go.
All right, Water Resource Management Commission agenda or commission meeting for February 18th, call to order. Take roll, please.
I show Bachhuber, Giebert, Knorr, Munson, Shaw, and West in attendance, and I roll virtually.
All right. Very good. Well, we got a long agenda, I think, so we're gonna get right into it. And hopefully get an update on this mystery funding for Graber Pond that nobody seems to know about. Hopefully somebody can learn something about it. Richard or
Luke's gonna
do
most
most
of it.
Yeah. So the first item is just the minutes of 121.
Need minutes.
Oh,
for the minutes.
I wasn't paying attention. Sorry, minutes are, any questions on the minutes? None, any questions? Then do you vote or just do consent?
You can do consensus.
Consent, approved. Okay, so thanks, Luke. Sorry about that.
Yep.
Federal funding, Graber Greenway project.
Yeah. So I don't really have much of an update here. I reached out to USDA, asking if we had any application materials or anything that they had on there and they could provide to me, as background information, and they do not have anything. They pretty much just have it as a $500,000 earmark, from Congress. So Brian, the city administrator, and I are meeting with USDA. I think next week sometime is when we have that laid out. So after that meeting, hopefully we'll have a better idea on what that funding looks like.
Nice. Okay. Thank you, Luke.
Send a check. There's not a lot to say.
Yeah.
Next month. Any questions on that? If you find 500K on your doorstep, please.
We have to do it, you some help.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Luke. MSA has several reports, memos written up on various projects that they've written. We'll run through each one. And Jeff is here personally. Yes, please do. Please do. And you want to just run through them one at a time?
Sure. Good evening, everybody.
Okay.
Looks like the Gritty Pond model is first
Yep.
on the agenda.
Yep.
So the intention here was to not get into a real in-depth discussion about the results or the model. It's more of kind of a progress update. I've got some figures here that are showing up on the screen. So we've created an existing conditions model. That's that first figure there, where you can see the red lines are the watershed boundaries of areas that are contributing to the pond. We've got a DEM file underlaid there to show the topography. And then the line work is representing watershed areas and the connectivity of where they're draining and how the system all kind of flows together. So that,
And if I just to orient, make sure we're all on the same page. So the far left, you can see the north-south Highway 12 going. Far right, it's Pheasant Branch Road. It's kind of the extensive east to west of the watershed. So everything in between there, draining to Pheasant Branch.
right. So that kind of you can see the greenish blob there at the cursor is Graber Pond itself.
Yeah.
In the middle, running north and south, is High Road. So that's kind of the eastern half or the eastern side of High Road. I've called that the wetland, the north wetland area where the High Road culvert empties. And there's that kind of widened wetlandy area before the channel kind of forms a little bit more definitively and then continues east through that agricultural area to Pheasant Branch Crossing. So our project extends are kind of what's dumping into that wetland area on the east side of High Road. So you can see a faint yellow line going straight east from there to Pheasant Branch Road. That's in the model, but we're not at this stage concerned with that. So this one will show the existing development that's out there around Misty Valley Ponds and the Parmenter corridor. And it includes the Bell Farm development.
Is Bell Farm modeled as existing right now, or
Yeah.
is this going to be built out?
I have it as kind of the built out condition for the stormwater management plan. That may be, I may revisit that. So right now it's included in our existing conditions so that we've got a kind of a more conservative picture. The next screen, the next figure, that is our, actually, I think, okay, sorry, the last one we were looking at was proposed. Can you go all the way up to the, maybe they're a little out of,
You might have put this at the end here. So this is the existing. That was my
there's the
bad.
existing. So the thing to note here is east of High Road, we don't see any pipe networks, any line work, because that Red Tail Ridge development is not in. And then Pheasant Crossing on the west side is not in. Right there, thanks. So then if we go back to that initial, that one, now we see line work representing the Pheasant Crossing development that's dumping both into Great River Pond to the west and east to the High Road corridor, and then the Red Tail Ridge. Now, this is not the full Red Tail Ridge. This is phases 1 and maybe 2 that are still coming to the east side of High Road. It's not future phases that will be dumped straight down to the creek corridor downstream of our boundary of our project extent. If you go down to the next figure, this is the pipe network, and you can see some of those future basins based on the contours and the coloring. So if you looked at the east side of High Road, you can see the Red Tail Ridge basins that are shown in there from the topographic relief.
The dark purple area.
The whitish, yeah, white.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry.
So this is just a figure representing kind of the pipe network in the system that's been built into the full proposed condition. So we've got the existing condition model rolling. I've got a couple of scenarios here that we've modeled to show some flood inundation. Luke and I will be meeting with the DNR on Friday to discuss project permitting. It's been a long journey, the Great River Pond outlet idea with a lot of iterations. And my feeling is before we dive in and really roll up our hands on identifying and evaluating outlet configurations for the pond and then the Misty Valley Drive and the High Road culvert crossing, I'd like to get a little bit of input from the DNR on what the permitting climate would be or the expectations would be. I don't want to go too far into a proposed condition process without getting a little feedback there. So hopefully Monday, Luke and I will get a little bit more direction and input from the DNR, and then we'll be ready to take that proposed model and start running through some outlet configurations or scenarios of culvert crossings.
Since High Road is currently under design, you are coordinating with that design consultant on the crossing.
Yep.
In other words, don't pave this 50 feet or whatever the crossing is going to be.
Well, yeah, we'll have to get that level of detail, but I have been in touch with Dan Perry from Veerbicker.
Okay.
We'll
I
get-
just wanted to make sure because
Yep.
I know they're steaming full force here to try and
Yep.
get that ready to bid next year.
We'll get a little bit more into that on item
Okay.
number 6.
So what's the difference of the light blue? Is that the flooded area?
So that's the depth.
The depth?
So the blue outline is the flooded area. So we're looking at, this is the existing 100-year or the existing conditions under the 100-year flood. So we've taken that recurrence, 100-year recurrence interval flood and run it through that PC swim model. And these are the flood extents that we're seeing. And this isn't off the top of my head, I can't say how much it differs, but this is similar to what HydroCAD would have done, right? We're throwing a discrete interval storm through there, and we're seeing natural hydrostatics, flooding, predicting flooding there, and predicting an outflow from Graber Pond such that the Misty Valley homes on the south side of Misty Valley Drive at the kind of towards the top of that photo indicate that those would be flooded.
What assumption did you make as far as the elevation of Graber Pond when you started running through the
Yeah, well,
rainfall?
great question. For this round of these figures that we're going to look at, we chose the 75th percentile level from the 2010 Montgomery Associates reports. That's 903.
So then you assumed there was some storage in Graber Pond.
Some, but a foot less than if we had chosen the median elevation of 902.1. So we're a little bit more conservative with these.
And so the outflow is, there's no structure, so it's just overtopping.
I mean, which is somewhere around 905. So this is a discrete 100-year event.
How much rain?
Oh, I know it's
Okay.
6 point.
I think it's like about 7 inches, I think is the,
What do you say?
I think it's around 7 inches.
It's close to that in 24 hour.
Yes, I think it's 6.66.
We use adjust from pressure or whatever.
Right?
This figure is taking a 2.25 year set of rainfall data at 1 hour increments and running that through for a continuous simulation through the existing conditions model. So the basis of this, we're getting a little bit into the nuts and bolts of the modeling, but that rainfall file incorporates the 1981 average annual rainfall. That's kind of the DNR standard for their water quality modeling. So it's statistically, it's a kind of an average storm or average rainfall year.
Continuous year.
Yeah, there's no great big huge events and there's no prolonged periods of drought.
What pond are you using? Swim?
Yeah, PC swim. So that is a rainfall record from 1979 to 1981. Again, incorporating that year 1981 rainfall. So here you're seeing that, in a typical year, that area is flooding, but we're not getting up into national electrostatics, and Greater Pond is not overflowing.
Well, in 1981, the average annual rainfall is a lot higher now than it was back in 1981. So you're looking at conditions that are probably on the low side.
Right. And unfortunately, to my knowledge, no one has, the DNR or others haven't gone through the process of figuring out what a more current representative average annual rainfall year would be. So the next figure is something that's, I guess, not replacing that or trying to find a substitute for that, but we thought it would be interesting to take. We went to the Parmenter Street gauge on Pheasant Branch, the USGS rain gauge, and pulled, a month of rainfall data that included that 2018 August event, and ran that through. And then you can see the results here of all the flooding. There's higher flood elevations and larger flood extents than the 100-year event. So these are just, a couple of scenarios we've run through, illustrate kind of the level of flooding we're seeing and some figures to show kind of what the model can provide for us as far as output graphics, and then obviously flood inundation extents and depths.
And that's with existing conditions, not with
Correct.
the build out.
Correct.
Bell Farms and
And that includes Bell Farms, but it
Middleton.
doesn't have, yeah, but it doesn't have Red Tail Ridge or,
Without an effect, that would affect.
well, Pheasant Crossing has a western portion of that goes to the river, but probably a pretty small contribution relative to the greater watershed. So that's just kind of a quick rundown of our approach to the existing conditions model. Some flooding extents and flood elevations for some different events under the existing conditions. Then obviously we'll next step move forward with some those condition modeling for the outlet structure and the two culvert crosses.
I think when ER or maybe it was MSA did a previous model, rainfall runoff model, they used continuous model, I think for 10 or 15 years. Do you plan on doing something like that later on?
I would love to. In conversations with Eric, I'm not aware of that. So maybe that was not MSA.
It must have been ER that did it. It was probably 10, 15 years ago.
Okay, that would be
That long ago?
Um,
I'm not sure.
I was sure I was going to guess sooner, but I'm always wrong on that. So
Okay, questions on any more on that Graber analysis? It's not a completed project yet. The whole point of this is to look at alternative ways to, for the outlet structure for the pond and what impacts it'll have on water surface elevations.
right. And then that will ripple downstream to modifications needed for the Misty Valley culvert. Taking a look to see what happens to the Misty Valley existing stormwater sewer system versus water management system, those basins there now. And then ultimately to the high road culvert crossing.
Lisa, are you able to hear Jeff all right?
Yes, I can hear him just fine.
Okay. All right. Any more questions? We'll move on to the Misty Valley topic.
Okay, the next memo we talked or summarized are soils investigations, Misty Valley infiltration basin, and then at the ditches within Bellefontaine Boulevard. The south side of Bellefontaine has been undeveloped, and there's a series of ditches. So we did some test pits to assess the infiltration rates for those ditch sections and infiltration basin. Really, there's a lot of data in here and summary of those tests, but the takeaway, I guess, that I think is important for the committee is for the Bellefontaine ditches, it's only the last two, the furthest east or north sections that have any that have potential for infiltration. The other ditch components were tight soils with poor infiltration. So those furthest two to the east have near soils and good potential for infiltration. So that opens up the possibility of constructing the BMP and being one sometime in the future. And we'll kind of get into that in a little bit with the high road stormwater stuff.
And I don't know, Richard or somebody, maybe look, what the original design for that stretch of road was it supposed to be a boulevard with a biofilter in between the original plan?
A median.
It's certainly
Median.
supposed to be
Median
a boulevard, but I can't recall if there was.
can add to that south. This came up at one of the weekly meetings of staff.
Okay.
And I attended those at that time. And Plan Commission, the planning people wanted to put in apartments and so on. I actually suggested that they were unsure. I suggested to use it as stormwater. They seemed to agree, so nothing's been done to it.
When was that? Do you think? Maybe approximately.
5, 6 years ago.
Yeah, the ditch, that's been there.
It's been there a
Sorry.
long time.
Yeah.
It was put in originally,
But
and
it wasn't supposed to, this was not the original,
no, this was not the original plan.
Okay. So there was never it was never designed to be what, help me out, a biofilter or
No.
filtration device or anything else. It was just a grass soil. Is that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
okay, all right.
Yeah, and I don't know, maybe sounds like you perhaps were the impetus for it, analyzing
Yeah.
filtration. The first I heard about it was from Eric Sorensen.
Okay, this was,
Years ago.
might have been before Eric.
Yeah, himself.
May I ask, but you're saying that it's only the two areas furthest east that actually are good for infiltration. All the other parts of this area that would have been I guess the eastbound lanes, that isn't good for infiltration?
Correct. The soils there are tighter, clayier, so they don't have that, exhibit that potential for infiltration. So really, they're kind of limited in their benefits to conveyance and I suppose some minor attenuation of flows.
So in theory, we could put those to maybe a different use, such as small community garden plots without
Well, they've
interfering.
got culverts can flow to them, so I don't know that.
It does carry runoff, right?
I think there would probably be too much flow there
Okay,
for any permanent structure.
okay.
But infiltrate, it's water down. So it's still useful. It's
It's
just
a conveyance, yeah.
for conveyance, but not infiltration.
Correct.
Yes.
So then we also looked at the soils in the Misty Valley stormwater management system, the infiltration basin, and then also in the sedimentation basins. We found that the infiltration basin has probably about a 6 to 9 inch layer of tight clay soils that have accumulated. It's 20 plus years old. It's not a great surprise that that's occurred, but there is a good sand layer that was placed when that was originally constructed present underneath there. And you can see, if you page through the photos, a pretty distinct separation in those soil layers. I don't know if in this view you'll be able to see much, but those are held in hand. You might be able to get there. So that was kind of the first step, is to assess what the condition of the soils are in this space. And then from there, we looked at identifying and evaluating potential improvements that could be made to that stormwater management system to increase the functionality and the performance of those. So we kind of started with looking back at the original stormwater plan for that Misty Valley development and the performance that was documented in that. And then in 2016, MSA did a water quality plan. So we had some old modeling from there and looked at that performance of the system as a whole, and specifically the infiltration basin. And then as part of our evaluation, we had a surveyor out there getting some bottom of the basin shots and some of the top of berm shots to kind of confirm the topography and the size of those, and then also check the outlets features. The biggest thing that came away from that is there's an overflow berm that separates the infiltration basin from the downstream dry detention basin. So you go to the big
Map.
map that shows so the Misty Valley stormwater management system is comprised of two sedimentation basins, or forebays, if you want to call it.
Keep going, Luke.
The flow comes into those. Sorry,
Go to this.
but
Yeah.
I was thinking we're controlling that screen.
Luke, it's
Tell you stuff driving. So there are two sediment basins, and then they discharge to an infiltration basin. And then the infiltration basin overflows to a dry detention basin, which has an outlet structure that dumps it to the west ditch of High Road. And then the culvert carries it across. So it's a large and detailed regional system. The berm, as I was saying, the berm that separates that infiltration basin from the dry detention basin has basically a channel that's been eroded. So what's happened over time is that basin was originally designed to hold back water up to a couple of feet of water, allow it to percolate through and infiltrate. Now doesn't have that same ability to hold back water. So when water comes into the infiltration basin, pretty much soon thereafter just continues through to the dry detention basin. So the infiltration performance and the sediment reduction performance and total phosphorus as well, it's worth noting, being an MS4 community, that's reduced. A minor thing is that there were some temporary pipes that connected the sediment basins to the dry detention basin during construction that were called for to be plugged, so that all that flow from the sediment basins would go into the infiltration basin where it could receive more treatment. Some of those were left in place, so there is some amount of flow that comes into those sediment basins that goes directly to the dry detention basin. So it's never routed through the infiltration basin and given a chance. So we looked at what's the best bang for the buck as far as getting better performance out of this regional system. The analysis showed that converting said that the north sedimentation basin to a bioretention basin provides the best, I guess, improvement to the system, and the cost per pound is at the lower end of the spectrum. The process would involve taking out the clay soils that are present in there and replacing them with bioengineered soil, outfitting it with an under drain. So you have your kind of standard bioretention basin. So you get your TSS treatment in that sediment basin, and then it's routed to the infiltration basin. That's the biggest bang for your buck and the biggest increase in TSS capture for the alternatives. Another option would be to convert that to a wet pond, which gets similar level of performance, but it's not a great shape for a wetland feature. My fear is that eventually you're just going to wind up with one big cattail. So not an actual open pond.
What we want.
Correct. Kind of piggybacking that is just simply doing some maintenance and repair of that infiltration basin berm. Restore it to its design elevation so that it holds water back longer. And then you've got some more ability for that water to infiltrate in. The caveat with that is that layer of clay soils, that tighter soils that's developed on the surface of the infiltration basin is going to inhibit some of that infiltration ability. The water is going to be struggle a little bit to get down to a nice sandy layer that's underneath. So there's kind of two approaches to dealing with that. Either one, I think the best approach would be to outfit that infiltration basin with an actual outlet structure. Right now, there's no way for the water to get out of there other than to come up over that berm into the dry detention basin.
It just invites the erosion.
Pardon me?
Yeah, it just invites the erosion.
Yeah. So if you outfit it with more of your standard outlet structure, with a pipe orifice overtopping ability, then you're focusing that water, routing that water into the dry detention basin, I guess, in a more safe manner or a safer manner. The other thing is, because we wouldn't know exactly how well water that's now being held in that basin, how well it will infiltrate. We could outfit it with an outlet that it's got an adjustable invert elevation. So if it turns out that the soils are holding water longer than we thought, to prevent drowning out the vegetation that's in there, we could lower that outlet orifice so that the infiltration could keep up and we're not holding water for days and days and days. Conversely, if it turns out that the infiltration is better than expected, that orifice could be moved up so that more water is held in there and given more chance to infiltrate, TSS treatment to occur, and phosphorus to occur.
How thick a layer has been deposited on that infiltration?
6 to 9 inches.
Okay, so pretty significant amount.
Yeah. And you're leading me into the next kind of side option is removal of that top layer.
Sure.
Which would then open up having that ponded water have direct access to that. So there's kind of levels of improvements that are on the table that have varying, I guess, levels of performance. But again, I think the biggest, most cost-effective option is to convert that north sedimentation basin to a bioretention basin. And then I also recommend that berm in outfitting the infiltration basin with a overflow structure.
We're gonna keep on getting more sediment in there over time again. It just has to have maintenance. I don't know why so much accumulate there and not, that was never in a plan for us to dredge it and take it out as of it.
I don't think so, but that was a pretty steep site too, when they were building up the hill to the north.
So a lot of it happened during construction probably.
Yeah, that would be my guess. I don't know if it was over excavated enough, but if it's clay soil, it's just, it doesn't matter. It just got there. To some degree, we just gotta, I think, get it out to allow better infiltration.
Probably hasn't had any maintenance
Since construction.
yeah,
Yeah.
so
Not that I don't know, minor.
I guess I'm not that surprised that that construction went on and on.
Right.
This is a city-owned facility.
I believe those are. That's kind of one of the last ones we did
Would
recently.
you ask?
Those are owned by the city, right? They're not.
Yeah, that's what's gonna be verified. Look, these are all municipal
Yep,
properties.
yep. All the Misty Valley basins are city.
How in your current contract scope with MSA, how far do these recommendations progress to a, I don't want to call it design, but a pre-conceptual type stuff, or what we're talking about?
I think they go through to design plans.
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
Yeah, it goes through full design, I believe.
Okay, good.
Possibly bidding.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. All the way to bidding.
And if this progresses, we're talking 2027 for possible construction?
Well, I think
Luke and
there's potential that it could happen before then. I guess as far as just a straight timing period, I don't know what factors are involved from the city standpoint, but
Yeah, I mean, we would have to notice it and bid it. So there's definitely a lot of leg there. So it all depends on how quickly the design progresses.
2027. I don't think it's gonna happen this year. But anyway, if it does.
And probable costs will dictate a lot of that too,
Yeah.
as far as
And-
what we can do and when.
Engineers
Any
estimates.
permitting issues here, do you?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
There's no these are not wetlands, right?
Well, they are wetland.
Well, but they're constructed stormwater
Yeah,
facilities,
they're
so
exempt.
they're exempt,
Yeah.
yeah.
This would be, I mean, my hope would be that any regulatory agencies would be think positively of the
I
prospective
do.
project because
It's only an improvement.
yeah,
Yeah, I would think that would be the right answer.
right.
Jim, Lisa has her hand up.
Say again?
Lisa
Oh, I'm
has her
sorry.
hand up if you didn't notice.
I did not notice.
Thank you. I have a question. I'm trying to think big picture here and, the most bang for the buck. What is the purpose of doing any work in the Misty Valley basins? Is it to prevent flooding for the folks who live in this area? Or is it to bring the basins closer to their design standard? Or are we trying to increase the capture of phosphorus so it doesn't wind up in Lake Mendota. And the reason I'm wondering if that third metric is the one we're after is because we do have this as part of a much bigger system, the Graber Greenway, where we started talking about tonight. And when I think about bang for the buck, I'm wondering, are there other ways, less expensive ways, to capture or to improve our retention of water and infiltration of water to prevent phosphorus from getting into Lake Mendota further downstream? Because I would hate to invest a lot of money in, getting that last 8 or 10% from the Misty Valley basins if we could invest the same amount of money for a much better outcome further down once we see the calculations for the system as a whole. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. So we're looking at pretty much all of those items that you listed, right? So improving infiltration will help improve those flooding elevations. And then alongside that, getting those removals will help our MS4 permit as a citywide permitting standpoint as well. Um, I would I would lean on the side of doing treatment upstream rather than waiting for it to get downstream, especially since it's an intermittent stream. So there'd be less opportunity once we get past High Road there.
Once you get east of High Road, you're in wetland and conservancy and
Conservancy,
I mean, I
yeah.
think Lisa's got a good point. At the same time, we've got a built facility there, and with something that's already built and just needs a little
at
maintenance.
Misty Valley.
Misty Valley,
Yeah, yeah.
yes, yes. If that just, I mean, it would seem to me to be, I would expect it to be less expensive to maintain something we've got.
I guess the one thing I might add is for today's modeling standards, condition of the ponds, there's not a lot of treatment that's happening right now. Back when it was built, it was predicted to get, meet all the requirements, 80%, and then 90%, 80% TSS reduction and 90% of pre-existing conditions infiltration. Don't think that's happening now.
It's got an open gateway that,
Right.
yeah, that's,
So you're potentially kind of, I guess, working under not you Lisa, specifically, but I guess the city is working under the assumption that from like a water quality plan for the city that we're getting this much from this basin, when in reality, the survey data and the latest modeling is showing that that doesn't seem to be the case.
right now.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, okay. Any other questions on Misty Valley?
Well, are we looking at approving something tonight as far as,
no,
It's just,
because I looked at that table for recommendations and the cost isn't all that. Is this the cost items for,
Yeah, that was a kind of a preliminary,
yeah,
more of an exercise to see how those costs compare relative to the different options versus a specific, like, well-developed estimate.
they don't seem real large, so.
Yeah,
that can.
and I think looking at the cost per pound is valuable or useful as well.
There's less infrastructure being added to it, so the costs aren't really, it's moving dirt and replanting.
Yeah, the engineered soil is a big cost.
Right.
Was there any look at taking what we have out there now and at least as far as just peak flow and flood control purposes, maximizing storage for that purpose alone? Is that part of the analysis?
I didn't look too closely at that because you're kind of boxed in, right? It's developed all around there. So the prospects of enlarging a pond or a basin or, trying to get more volume out of it, I don't think there's it's gonna be.
I didn't see a lot either, but I was just curious if it was.
Yeah, I
It'll
think
be,
that's kind of a byproduct of, improving the infiltration performance.
right, you'll get some volume control and some storage by removing material. So there's incrementally some benefit there. Okay.
When you do your model, Jeff, then are all these, does your model include the operation of all these detention and infiltration basins?
Yeah,
It's going to be a watershed model, so it's not just Graver Pond, it's the rest of the watershed too will be,
well, two different kind of models, I guess.
Okay.
For the water quality performance of Misty Valley, the model is just Misty Valley. Water quality is based on an average annual rainfall, and so nothing's coming out of Graver Pond during that condition.
Yeah.
So when we're looking at the different scenarios of as far as what's the existing system, Misty Valley stormwater system doing now versus what it would be under these potential alternatives or improvements, that's just looking at that system. The PC swim model is looking at the whole system.
so these will be based on the 1981
Yes,
model, whereas the stream flow will be based on the swim model for the basin.
yeah. That's one of the benefits of the PC swim model. It does a better job of predicting what's happening through that stormwater system, right? It gets a little squirrely in the hydrocads of the world or Windslam when you start
Yeah,
putting basin into basin into basin.
it would be hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, before we leave it, I'd like to reemphasize that when you do the watershed model, if you could use the last 10 years, because we had some really high flows and some dry ones. So I think that would really be helpful to see how Graver Pond really operates in current conditions.
Okay. Should we go to Hidden Oaks?
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
I'm gonna come clean here. When I saw the agenda earlier today, I saw Hidden Oaks and I thought that Luke might have forgotten to put my colleague's name in there versus mine. And then when I went to contact my colleague to see if he was planning on discussing Hidden Oaks, I saw that he's on vacation.
That may have been a
unfortunately,
misunderstanding on my part then.
yeah, well, or mine. I don't have an involvement with Hidden Oaks. I read through my colleague Gabe's memo. It seems pretty straightforward that he's calling for based on the infiltration tests and the overall condition, the assessment of the condition of the basin, that wholesale improvements or major changes aren't needed. It's more of a kind of a maintenance thing to fix some disconnected under drains, some accumulated sediment. Really just kind of limit the effort to maintenance.
Yeah, so I can touch on that a little bit too. This is what I have up on the screen now is the recommendations and the next steps that Gabe had suggested. For the most part, everything is pretty minor excavation, removing a couple areas that sediments accumulated at, replacing the weeper to design, things like that we could do internally without, more of a bid out official project. That's where things stand at from my perspective.
So, anything else on that, on Hidden Oaks?
I think that, yes, I would imagine, look, the contract for Hidden Oaks was similar to Misty Valley, that it would have gone through construction plans and bidding, but it sounds like that's probably not needed or very minimal effort, I guess.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that the two contracts were almost identical, really. But But yeah, from the sound, from how the memo reads from Gabe, it seems like that wouldn't really be necessary for Hidden Oaks. That would be more of an internal effort, just using the previously approved plans.
City staff can handle the recommendations.
Yeah, field services, I think we can get that accomplished in-house.
Okay. That's good news. Okay. I'm going to High Road.
Sure. Well, part of the larger Graver Greenway contract, do some preliminary evaluation of the High Road reconstruction project, stormwater management needs. I see Dan's picture up there, so he's listening in. Dan, feel free to hop in whenever necessary. So our role was to have some conversations and figure out what the stormwater management requirements will be for that reconstruction. I guess to back up a step, folks may be familiar with this, but High Road's a rural ditch cross section now, and then the improved condition will be putting in curb and gutter, sidewalk on the west side, multi-use path on the east side. So it'll get rid of the ditches and convert it to a urban curb and gutter cross section.
Much more of a cross section as well. I
Yes,
don't think the final
thank you.
design is complete, but there'll be a lot more runoff coming off of it,
Yeah, widening out for some left turn lanes.
as well as bike lanes.
Yep.
Well, may I just add that the left turn lanes are, I mean, and nothing's a done deal. I mean, that we will probably have more pavement, but there's some arguments being made that to make it a complete street that is taking into consideration the needs of the most vulnerable users, those left turn lanes might not be the best thing to have. So I just want to mention that.
I just want to clarify, I think if I understand it correctly, that stretch of road is under a design contract right now.
Yes.
And it's proceeding.
It is, there's still some final decisions that have to be made yet. Obviously, we just had a preliminary meeting with the citizens for discussion purposes, and there were a lot of things that came out of that. And the final design, what it's going to look like, not sure yet. And obviously, that'll be coordinated with MSA as far as stormwater is concerned.
Because obviously there's a lot of tie-in, but how much pavement does it, you actually get final.
It's going to be more than there is now.
Yeah. But how much more than it's gonna matter about how you handle it. So
Right.
I can tell you on the latest, based on the latest design, there's about 1.85 acres of net new impervious.
Yeah, yeah, but again, that's not final. Until that is honed in on.
So I get my point would be, I don't want MSA to spin their wheels generating stormwater management ideas until we get a better idea of what the road's gonna look like.
Agreed. I think we're kind of at pencils down at this point. I think Dan and I have talked about this. The most promising option, I guess, or candidate for meeting the stormwater management requirements is to go back to that Bellefontaine ditch, in that easternmost ditch that currently takes a bunch of runoff from the west side of High Road north of Bellefontaine, and convert that into a bioretention basin and get a bulk of your required TSS treatment out of that flow. And then that continues obviously to the Misty Valley stormwater system. It doesn't get you, at least preliminarily, based on the information we have, it doesn't get you all the way there. So that would be coupled with and also to handle the peak runoff rate component with some underground storage some type. So that's kind of back to putting the pencils down. At right now, my preliminary assessment is that the biggest bang you're going to get is to convert that ditch to a bioretention basin, and then add some underground storage to take care of, kind of finish the rest of it. And I didn't agree that, I agree that until there's a final design, that doesn't make any sense to keep trying to eke out 2% more or shave the peak rate. Um, so,
And Joe, or correct me if I'm wrong here, Luke, the requirements are gonna be for the new pavement, the additional pavement. Is that gonna come under an 80% sediment control requirement?
Yes, yeah. I mean, any new pavement will be new development. Anything that's getting replaced will be redevelopment standards.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so it seems like we're at a. I'm not sure how much more discussion we can have about High Point right now. Any questions?
I wrote.
High Road, sorry.
Dan, did you have anything to add?
No, I did not. I just wanted to listen in on and hear from Jeff on his memo and if there are any comments from the committee on it.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions on that? Jeff, thank you for all this work. Appreciate it.
yeah, thanks for your time.
You. Okay, next topic is for discussion purposes. This came up as an issue, regarding, work being done. What is that called? Is that Clark Street? Clark Street?
Yes.
Oh,
Concerns been.
I think you're on renew the blue, you're on 7. You have the agenda.
Yes, conservative.
Number 6.
At the roundabout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're on number 7, right? All right.
Yep.
Service Bend.
I have one comment from Public Works. We did approve the easement request put in.
Okay.
Also requested that the escrow set aside for restoration.
You want to explain what's being requested?
Hey,
It's,
I know CLC and Public
may I
Works. Go ahead.
clarify? I just want to clarify that last night the council did accept the Public Works Committee's recommendation to approve the easement to the west of this, which is not Conservancy lands. We don't know what the escrow agreement will look like, but it's pending final review by the city attorney. So that is a different easement, and that one has been approved. But the one in front of us literally tonight is the one on Conservancy lands.
Yes.
Yeah, and that was the one Public Works approved with the caveat that there be an escrow set aside paid for by the developer for restoration purposes if they damage it, which they will. You can't put heavy equipment in there without damaging it.
I'm confused. Are we talking about the west, the one that's not being shown right here?
On Conservancy Bend 2, that where that sign is right now, I believe that's it.
I think
This
we
is
have an
just-
overview of what we're looking at. I think we're
Well,
Well,
not even sure what the issue is right now.
Yeah, I know. We need, somebody's got to give us some background.
would you like-
Want to give it a shot?
Conservancy lands. We've got two different, and I've been at both meetings. The one that Public Works did is between where the building will go and the sidewalk to the west.
Right there.
Right
Right
there.
there.
That's private
Yeah.
property? That's not city
No,
property?
that's
Right
city
away.
property.
Sorry, say it again.
That part I think is city property,
It is city property.
it is.
Not Conservancy.
but not conservancy. The conservancy part is what's north of that red line going along.
Right.
And they want to have a 15-foot easement going to the north,
To the,
which is up to where that yellow line is.
fine.
And
Spicy.
included in that is
Spicy mustard line.
20, okay, mustard line. You're a 20-inch red oak tree. And they brought before Conservancy lands that they would restore that area, put in 10 trees. I also had a request that they actually do more in that whole area of prairie oak savanna restoration by adaptive restoration.
CLC, did they
What?
take a vote on this?
We did not. We needed more information. And we're waiting on another meeting.
We're not, and by the way, we're not taking a vote on this here tonight. This is for discussion. If you got an opinion, certainly express it, but We're not voting approval or disapproval of the request.
It's a plan on the,
If I may add something, because I do need to leave very soon for another meeting. I have a question, and that is, when will the CLC's special meeting on this be? But then also, I just wanted to fill in some information for the commission, and that is, first of all, this would be precedent setting. The staff went and checked after the CLC meeting, and it does not appear we have ever given a developer permission to use conservancy lands for construction purposes. It may have been done in connection with the Stagecoach Trails Apartments, but that property was owned at the time by Jacob Klein, who was parking things and using the space that he owned, and the city acquired it afterwards. So this would be a precedent setting decision if the council decides to go forward and let T-Wall have the TLE. Second, 4 times at the CLC meeting, the representative of T-Wall, Taylor, said, "We don't need this. This is a convenience. We'll figure out a different way to do it." So I know we're having or the commission will have a larger discussion about what are the downstream and the water impacts of letting any developer use conservancy lands, especially near the creek corridor. But for this specific TLE, it was said 4 times at that meeting that it isn't necessary. And then thinking ahead to the possibility of future, more intense and longer term restoration work after, say, the TLE is granted and the conservancy land in this area and the oak tree are destroyed, we would have to put that out for a bid. We can't, the city's not going to, or the council won't entertain a motion that specifically gives the project to a particular consultant without going through a proper RFP process. So I just wanted to put that in there.
Lisa, to help me clarify, the RFP process you're talking about is would be for the potential restoration work if this were to go through. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. So
Do we have a person who makes
Yeah.
a presentation?
I'll give you a chance. Yep.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Seems like her.
I want to hear, just for clarification, people understand what we're talking about or what the issue is. Why we're talking about this.
T-Wall needs to explain in detail their use of that land and the safety issues that would be involved in the construction. Because as to how close their building is coming up, so that we can understand that part of it. And
I'll give him a chance. I promise.
yeah,
I promise.
Kevin's here. I'm familiar with it. So
I just want to know if any other members here have general questions they want to ask before we get to more detailed discussion.
Well, I'd like to see a general presentation of what we're really talking about, so.
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
We're looking nitty gritties without seeing the big picture.
Okay.
yeah, we need to hear.
Do you want to give an overview?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love
And
to.
I'm sorry, I need to introduce.
Yeah, Taylor. Yeah, so
Thank you.
Taylor Brengel, T-Wall, General Counsel, Executive Vice President. So, I will say, since the CLC meeting at the end of January, I've been working with Kevin and Matt Fleming on the easement to come back, with hopefully something that's agreeable and that reflects, cooperation between the city and the developer. I think, it's worth noting, I've got boards. You guys probably can't see these, but I know, Luke, you've got some maps up too. It's worth noting the city did own this whole parcel. So it was the Pines 1 and 2 buildings. Back in 2018, about then did
We sold it to you.
RFP, sold it to us. Right. And so, like Jacob Klein with Stagecoach, there's some overlap, right? It wasn't purely private land staying private. So, but again, I think the point of this is to kind of let you know that we're working with city staff and city attorney and public works city engineer to see if there's a way to allow. We talked to our contractor again, as Lisa pointed out. Could we do it without this easement? Yes. would it enhance safety, erosion control, and ease convenience to have this easement? 100%, no doubt. So the idea would be the tightest between the building to the property line, the tightest area is about 4 feet, the biggest area is about 10 feet.
The building to property line?
Edge of building to property line, correct. So the tightest area, it's just a little spot where it's, and you can kind of see it actually on the screen that Luke's showing you right there. That's the 4-foot section. Otherwise, it does go out to 10, but
So it's sort of in the middle of the building.
yeah,
Or the-
yeah, exactly.
Can you point to it on there?
Yeah,
That'd be easier to see.
There. Yeah, about right there.
Okay.
And our, so this is a kind of zoomed out. I got to zoom in too. Our hope would be to kind of, so intent, and we went back and forth. So we're talking to our contractor, what's the bare minimum on what you need this for? It would be construction fencing, erosion control fence, and scaffolding. So when they're doing the siding, you'll have a spot to do that. I also did go out, and Luke, I believe Haven emailed you these pictures around 4 or so, but I've got pictures. I went out and droned, a personal drone, the site today after the rain from last night, and it was very windy today. I'll say that. Let's see, I've got enough for everybody actually.
Yeah, that's it.
Was that? And then
That's 3 more.
this kind of gives you an idea. It's not a drop off from the back here. There's some land, but you'll see what happened is MG&E went in December. And I don't know if you guys have ever worked with MG&E, but we're, as developers, constantly cleaning up after them. They kind of have their contractors go through, and they're like a bull in a china shop. So, so right now, as you can see, the soil's been disturbed beyond our property line by MG&E, using their easement, and so you guys know public utilities have broad easement rights, but their standard easements don't have good language for restoration, like what Matt Fleming and I would work out. So my hope would be, and again, at least I understand the concern about precedents, but I think it's also a case by case basis in this situation. So I think we're looking at, if we could get a 10-foot temporary construction easement and then go through and properly restore that area.
10 or 15?
Yeah, we originally asked for 15. I went back to the contractor, said, what's the bare minimum? If it's less than 10, then it's not worth it. But if they can get 10, that's optimal. 15 was more kind of where they started. Also, originally, the map that we submitted to CLC originally had like Kevin knows this, right? Like the bow out around the bend because they were going to put the trailer there. We were able to work with the fire department and the school, so we don't need that anymore. We're actually putting the trailer on. We got a street closure permit, so the trailer is not there. So
be on the circle, the paved circle.
Exactly, on the paved circle. So again, the intent here is to limit it as much as possible. And arguably, we would have been here months ago asking for this, because I know Rich was working with Lane and our team back in July when the permit was issued. And then we had to hold up with the phase 1 lender, had to approve the CSM for phase 2, which lenders can take, it's a long story there. So it took 4 months because it was a Freddie Mac loan. That's an aside. But anyways, we're back on trying to get construction going. This is only 44 units. So for us in our T-wall world, typically we want to do like 100. So this is a smaller building. So when a building's smaller, pennies matter. And so time matters, space matters, right? And so this 10 feet would help our contractor move faster and get it done sooner. And then the goal would be later this fall, going through its proper restoration, erosion control mat, the proper seeding mix. And again, working in concert with the Parks Department on proper seed mix. And then I think even Kevin's recommended talking with a couple consultants, restoration consultants. He gave us a couple names. So we're getting bids from those. And so that's right now the holdup where we're at now is we're getting bids from the restoration company and the tree preservation company or advisors. So a couple of them are taking longer. So we're going to gather those, and then I want to come back to CLC. I don't think it's going to be ready at this next meeting next week.
Okay, that's
So it'll be
fine.
at the following meeting. And then least at that point, we don't need a special meeting for CLC. We'll just go on with the next
We can
one.
go to-
Basically, we told our contractors they need this for scaffolding for the siding, which is later on in the project. So
Is this the tree talking about?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, that's the 21 inch.
Is that? I mean, it looks like that tree.
I just
Well,
want to
that's
say
what-
I appreciate the update and the answer to my question about when the special meeting is. I wish I could continue with the conversation. I know Herb Garn is on as well. He's aware of the situation. I hope the staff are able to work out something, and I need to drop off now. Sorry, folks, but thank you all very much. Good night.
Thanks, Lisa.
Taylor, I have a question
Yeah.
on the safety.
Yes,
You've got safety of the people working on the buildings.
yes.
I have a big concern of safety of all these teenagers that wander by there on their way over to Costco, or high school, getting curious and wandering in to any of the construction part. We need to have it safe so that it keeps people out of the construction and protects your people too.
I don't think that's a resource topic, so I'm gonna.
No, but-
Yeah.
But
I understand.
it's relevant for the.
I don't want kids
No.
dying either, but.
Yeah.
it's not-
No, but
that's-
I'm just talking about putting the fence in. It's a safety issue.
Yeah. Either way, and I'll just be fully transparent because Rich is here, right? And we work with Rich.
I'm here.
Yeah. And so we work with city engineering all the time on plans and permits and stuff. And right. So either way, we're gonna have to have a construction fence. This
orange fence.
This orange fence was like MG&E just went through the Bolton China shop, as I said, and we're like, hey, we got to get something up so that kids aren't wandering. But I was out there today and I did see kids walking that grass area.
Yeah,
So
they
it's
do.
going to happen. Yeah. I wish kids would stick to paved trails, but that, they're going to go for the path of least resistance. So
Culver's is quicker that way.
yeah, sure.
Culver's
Yeah.
and Costco.
My
Yeah.
question is,
Yeah.
is that orange fence approximately the property line?
Yes. Yeah. We
Approximately.
put it along. Although
And
there's
is
something,
this,
yeah.
like,
Approximately.
you've had a lot talking so far.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Is that tree gonna, I'm not a tree expert, is that tree gonna survive that close to, if the building is 3-story, 4-story? Three. Anybody, that tree's supposed to not interfere with the side of the building? It's already over the property line. Curious.
Yeah, so in preparation for construction in the winter of 2020, so late 2024, early 2025, city crews went out and did reduction cuts on the south side of that oak to bring it to the property line or thereabouts. You look at these photos in the Google Street View, you can look at it down. It's simply up
Yeah,
on there. Certainly, climate for that tree is going to change with the building. Like wind,
Right.
soil moisture, all those things are
Sun.
certainly going to change. Yeah.
Okay. Second question I have is if the easement were approved, is it proposed that they'll need that space for some heavy equipment? Just for the scaffolding and construction of that side of the building?
I think the idea would be to put a ring around the tree, as we talked about, but then outside of that root zone, I believe they
Which is the
usually use man baskets.
So, okay, so you are
Yeah,
saying
building
there
and
will, there would be heavy equipment parked out here.
Yeah, not on the root
I understand.
structure, but
I understand.
outside of there.
I'm more concerned with the rest of the area too. Okay,
What are the water issues?
well, I did walk out there myself. My concern personally, is the proximity of this. It is kind of a ravine that slopes down to the creek, not just, I would say, starting about in this corner of the picture.
Yeah.
And it comes down to the creek. So there's a pretty direct conduit there. If there's gonna be bare soil, and we all know how well control measures work, they're perfect. So really,
It's erosion during construction that we're worried about.
that's my concern. More. And the proximity to that ravine which goes to the creek.
So nothing that far as which easement is concerned, does it make a difference?
Well,
erosion's gonna occur, I mean, the building's gonna.
if you got 10 feet of vegetation versus 0 feet of vegetation, I'd say that there's some
Okay,
benefit to that. That's my concern.
okay.
Jim, I have a question similar to what you're at. What did this committee do in terms of boundaries, barriers for the construction of Beaver Brook, which literally goes right up 10 feet maybe from where the water is in Pheasant Branch Creek,
Beaver Brook.
down on the corner of Century and
Street retreat.
Branch Street?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm not sure if we even looked at that. Tell you the truth, I don't remember.
Eric did.
There.
Yeah, somebody should have looked at it.
Yeah,
But the
I'm
parking
sure.
lot literally goes up to the, right where the bank drops.
Top of slope.
I agree. I don't disagree.
So I guess if I could just chime in, I don't know about that particular project. But if that was all on their property, then I guess I would say that there isn't really a whole lot that could have been done anyways. Just
I will tell you though, from the developer standpoint, and for fear of talking more, sorry. The county is like white on rice. I mean, so if the city's not on us for erosion control, the county is. And I'll tell you firsthand from doing the Bishop's Bay development, and I actually live out there. So the county is, today they're out inspecting.
I'm
after
sorry,
last night,
but we've all seen High Road during that construction phase, and the county was on top of that like white on rice. And there was,
Yeah,
so
I mean, yeah.
we've all seen it. It's never perfect, and all we can do is our best. So that's my point.
My fear is just there's already been some erosion from the MG&E work. So if we could more perfectly, and I hear what you're saying about you lose 10 feet of vegetation, but if you could get 10 feet where the contractors aren't walking right on the edge of it, then we could get erosion control fence, not just sock, right? I mean, erosion control sock doesn't do squat.
I've got another, this is after the construction. Since it's going almost, the building's going to be 4 feet from the actual property line.
The height is.
What's going to keep the residents from walking into that
Well,
conservancy area?
Nothing.
It's public.
It's public land. I don't mind people walking back there.
Yeah.
Well, no,
that's
it's
not true.
Well,
There's ordinances, so there's city laws. that
Yeah,
say,
and
no,
this
you
is
can't-
not,
Can't do it.
if you want to put up a barbed wire fence, okay.
No,
But
no,
it's-
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that's the
Okay.
law.
yeah,
Okay,
That's the law.
but
So,
that's true for the whole corridor, right?
right,
Yeah.
and all the conservancy.
Yeah. and
It's still an ordinance is an ordinance.
I hear you.
It's
and
not,
it's not
it's
turf
not like-
grass there.
sometimes it's okay to follow, sometimes it's not.
Again, not a water resource issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But maybe not.
My thought would be,
My main issue or my main comment would be concern for construction and erosion control to the creek and for the compaction that's going to occur, not by the tree, but elsewhere. And yes, we can restore that to the best we can with deep tilling and blah, 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 but still that's disturbing the soil also. And you got to it's going to take time to get that fixed.
Right.
We're not voting, we're just expressing opinions.
So
I appreciate that.
Tyler, you're willing to have the city bid out restoration of that area?
That's news to me. So when Lisa said that was the first time I heard that. She said council would require, I don't know how she worded it.
Yeah, if. like, we had to-
Council would make it a condition to publicly bid. I wasn't aware of that being a condition.
The city is going to hold an escrow for that restoration.
Yeah.
That's for the western easement.
Western East.
Yeah. I mean, we could do one for this one too.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, you know what, to be honest, logically, we probably would do one for this one too, right?
Yeah.
If we're doing one for the other one.
Because I want to see it, you guys pay for getting that area restored. Actually, a little bit more than what you might have to the edge of the fence, but so that the whole thing looks nice, natural, restored prairie oak savanna area, in addition with an appropriate number of trees to go in there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we were proposing 10.
I know.
Thinking that red oak would likely die with the change in environment, but
I
the
think
publicly
so, too.
bidding, I do want to address that because that was something that Lisa brought up,
Mhm.
but that was in your initial, and Kevin did give initial conditions on what he'd recommend, and it was that we put money to the city to do this work.
Right.
And Matt Fleming came back with different conditions that didn't require a public bidding. They allowed us to do that work and the city to insure, just like that western easement where we're doing the restoration in the right of way. And if we don't do it, then the city can draw on our escrow, and the city also, Matt Fleming just sent me the final before this. They can specially assess our property. So
Yeah, and
splitting hairs on that one. So I don't think, and I don't know if
I'm gonna
Lisa's
ask
an
you
attorney,
this.
but
okay,
I think
can I
that
talk
idea
to
is-
you about this afterwards?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
But I want to give everybody, Kevin, do you have any comments you want to make?
I'm trying, besides impacting the soil with the heavy equipment, which is gonna happen, there's studies out there that shows significant damage from these big cats and all that. I don't see how it's a water management resource.
Okay. Susan, you want to say anything for that?
I mean, we're a fair distance from creek. At least 100 feet. Right,
Oh, yeah.
Without measuring.
easily.
We did a topo. We looked at the
Yeah.
topo maps today. And
So if you're putting in feet a little bit over the top of what your stormwater control stuff is, just go to extra effort for that. I mean, I know it depends on the builders, and I've seen around, some are pretty sloppy, but technically you should be able to keep the water and runoff not going into the creek.
Okay.
Enough's been said. No comment.
My question is, in order to stop erosion, should we allow them, or maybe we would do it ourselves, to put some sort of sock or fence or something in a little farther away from this so that we can make sure that we're capturing any runoff?
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know. And that's probably my bigger concern than some of this right here.
Okay.
Yeah, on the same topic, you could put a basin downstream to collect the sediment or it runs off into the stream, a temporary one.
True.
In the conservancy itself.
Well, this is all
In that
conservative.
gully,
I know.
in the gully you're talking about.
But how does that work then? Do we have them get a temporary easement so that they can put that in, or do we get that put in
Does it need a
and charge
permit?
them? Listen, yes,
I don't think our job is to do a engineering design of how to.
No.
Yes.
no,
Erosion, just, I want your concerns, points. My main concern again is the precedence issue. I don't like the idea of granting this just because of what it might mean down the road. And I'll maintain my concern. Nope, not gonna ask more comments. We all made our comments. This is my turn.
I want
So
to respond to
I'm
your
concerned with
precedent.
that, and I'm concerned with even though erosion control is always depends on how much rain comes and how fast it comes.
right,
Right.
right.
We do have comments at the end, right, of the meeting.
Sorry?
We do have comments at the end of the meeting.
No, really?
No,
No.
we don't get to suggest future items.
Oh,
Yeah, you should just,
That's what.
yeah,
what I want.
Sure, I'm sure.
that's not really a comment, but.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Could I just
Yeah.
throw something out there,
Yeah,
Jim?
absolutely.
What if one were to use marsh mats? And cover the entire easement area with a marsh mat? You wouldn't have any erosion probability.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you'd kill anything under it, but that would be a quick restore, I think. And I don't know how those would impact the roots, Kevin. Marsh mats.
This is like I know the term Altera mat.
So yeah, it's like a 8x8
The big timber.
piece of timber
Right, got it.
to set on there, to walk on there, so that they're not compacting the soils. And
Yeah, like ATC uses, yes, okay.
yeah,
It's like
exactly.
big railroad timbers.
Yes.
Yeah. You have railroad too.
These are all things that the engineering guys are gonna have to work out. If the people by council, that's a council decision, not ours.
Yeah.
That happens. I trust they will.
I think a marsh mat could prevent a lot of damage
Sure.
and erosion in the same process.
Okay.
That's something I think I would suggest somebody investigate.
Thank you.
Somebody like, Luke, can you?
Sure.
So
Bring Ben in.
if
Yeah,
I could just make one point of clarification, just because Taylor brought it up, and I know Taylor knows what I'm going to say. MG&E, I reached out to them. about their work on that northern property line, and MG&E claims they did not do anything there. I just wanted to clarify that on the record since it was brought up.
And
Okay.
no, thank you. And as Luke and I discussed, MGE didn't do it. Their contractor did. So that's who we're, but yeah, whatever.
Well-
Good luck trying to chase the flag.
Well, okay. That's neither here nor there, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, we've heard the
Okay.
concerns, we've expressed our opinions. Appreciate you coming out.
Okay,
That's
thank you.
very helpful.
Yeah.
Very clear. Thank you. All right. Renew the Blue Council update.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Pat, is everyone familiar with what Renew the Blue is?
I think you talked about it before, but
Okay. This is Clean Lakes Alliance is organizing a group of people, which are mainly someone, city administrator, or a lot of mayors and so on, and another person from basically all the areas in the county to help on improving our clean lakes. One emphasis is going to be on reducing the phosphorus with the goal of getting rid of, by doing so, hopefully getting rid of cyanobacteria, blue-green algae, E. coli, all the pathogens going in so that we can clean up the lakes. Also involved in that is getting the county to do enough sampling of the lake frequently, not once a week, but every day or something, and being able to process those quick enough so that they can close the beaches quickly. This is back to what I used to do in my first job and they haven't specifically said how they're going to manage this, since this is a nonprofit organization that's doing it, Clean Lakes Alliance.
Is Renew the Blues a subsidiary or component or in any way connected to the Clean Lakes Alliance?
Yes,
They're the same.
it's the same. Yes, Clean Lakes Alliance is organizing this program that they call is Renew the Blue.
Yeah, okay.
And so
Clean Lakes,
Emily and I
Clean
are,
Lakes Alliance has representatives from all the municipalities
yeah, well,
and agencies that affect.
so for example, Emily is mayor's representing Middleton. I'm representing them as the non-elected person. We've got people from Sun Prairie, town of Springfield, all of these different places, all the way over, in addition to county staff. So Laura Hicklin is head of Lakes and Watershed for the county is there, and several of her staff people. So far, we had one meeting that was mainly just a introduction of who was there. Then we had another meeting that was sort of the week before Clean Lakes got everybody out skating, doing whatever they're running on the lake. The week before that, we had everybody, and it was more, didn't discuss a whole lot. The four mayors talked about what they envisioned and what they liked about the lakes. My gut feeling is this is going to be more publicity, getting it out. I will say I did talk to James Ty, asking him specifically about, can they do something about salt? He said, no, go to Salt Wise, which I was a little disappointed in. I think if I'm going to work on trying to get them to at least educate citizens so we know about the salt issues. And it's still sort of forming. I just recently got emails of, I think it's 4 or 5 meetings coming up almost every month for the group to get together.
Okay.
And they did at this last meeting do a thing where they got us not sitting together with the groups we came with. They sort of got us spread out. And clearly, I know from the conversation at my table, we had people from towns or villages or cities and myself. The big issue is going to be paying for things because it's getting each individual municipality to pay for what's within theirs, which is a problem, as we all know. And I did volunteer because when I was on Lakes and Watershed, I wrote the budget that would get things for the commission. Volunteered to help the guy from the Lakes and Watershed Commission do the budget.
So are you meeting monthly or?
We're going to be, I think, meeting monthly. So we'll have more information going forward.
Right.
But I
Questions?
think the biggest thing is hope we can just get a lot of publicity and education out to people and at least work with the county their budget for more testing, which is clearly needed. I did write in and they did buy the PCR machines, one that was needed, and they need staff too. And the biggest thing is collecting samples. And that might be getting things like friends and other groups to.
Right.
Yeah.
But it needs to be done if you're really going to have clean water for swimming in the summer. I'd say every day or at least after every rain.
Okay.
So those numbers can, and they've also, in addition, not only they've got all the farm groups too are involved in that. So.
All right. Thank you. Any questions? Good updates. Any other liaison comments to make from,
I had mine.
you had your say?
Yeah, with the escrow. So I think this is the best way to go with that. The escrow
Oh,
for the restoration.
oh,
I like that idea.
okay.
Which is what we did in the north.
Anything else on?
Well, from CLC, we had the first presentation.
Right.
And I think
Okay.
they've come back with more information. I think we can haven't heard objections to doing escrow or anything like that, so.
All right. Future topics. Future topics. We got anything on here right now? Well, soil concentration data, that's still pending,
I've
right?
got
Yep.
that.
Yep.
I saw, Luke, do you want something to say something?
No, I was just gonna say I'm working on the salt concentrations. I have the data, just gotta work it out for next.
Okay. Okay. In all your spare time?
Exactly.
Topics. This issue with access when there's construction going on is going to be relevant since we're going north, especially out through research, that one west. On the North Fork of Pheasant Branch.
Okay.
Since that's getting combined into both sort of conservancy and stormwater.
Listen.
And what we need to do, I think, is actually get some guidelines for when the next person that wants to come build something out there, how they interact with the city and what they're responsible for doing in terms of protecting.
Are you talking about activities outside the city municipality or within
No,
the city?
in the city.
Okay.
But going from, well, anywhere within the city, but the example would be all up the North Fork, well, from the confluence pond and further north and even south. Those areas are going to be maintained as conservancy land and they're serving water resources lands. And we're going to have the same issue coming up each time somebody wants to build next to it. And we need to get some legal guidelines in place.
So just to clarify, Susan, you're talking about access to conservancy lands during construction for
Right,
lands
yes,
that
during
serve a
construction.
stormwater. Yeah, that serve a stormwater function. So like Confluence Pond and those areas.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Is that, I'm still I'm always struggling on that. What is a conservancy land? Because again, it's more than just zoned to conservancy, right? There's more
Yeah.
lands that are not zoned conservancy that are still.
The city has redone their zoning. Kevin, you might be able to.
Help at all?
I would look to the latest iteration of the Conservancy Lands Plan. It identifies 17 conservancies.
Yeah, we had this discussion when
Yeah.
it came out.
Yeah, 17 conservancies throughout the city of a certain acreage. They vary in zoning. Some are zoned conservancy, but some are zoned PUD.
Right.
So the zoning isn't an indication, but that
Does that change? Does those boundaries, are things added to that? Or is that pretty fixed right now?
the Conservancy Lands Plan for 2025 has basically less lands that were identified as conservancy in it than did the 2018 plan. And that's due in part to the categorization of native vegetation areas. So these are a lot of times, I think Spring Hill stormwater feature, that's an area that I think in the 2018 plan was considered conservancy. It was recategorized as this native vegetation management area. There was probably some double counting with areas in parks. And that's problematic when we look at our comprehensive outdoor recreation plan.
Well, Jim, this is telling me.
That doesn't answer your question.
No, it doesn't.
But it helps
My
me.
point is, if the idea, Susan, you're trying to convey is come up with a policy for how to handle construction next to quote unquote conservancy lands. I need to
I've
know.
got it broader than that.
That's all municipal property, all parks.
Yeah,
whatever. Is that a water
lands-
resource topic or is that a?
Well, it's partly water resource because a lot of this is land that was water resources, like the confluence pond and the North Fork of the creek and the land that was beside
It
it.
still is water resources land.
Yeah.
But
It's operated as a conservancy, but it's still
Right.
a stormwater
And
feature.
what I'm saying
period.
for any of these areas, because we've got any of these areas that's water and native vegetation. So whether it's water resources or not, but the combination of those two, there's areas out there where we're going to have new construction.
All right.
We need to get information from the city attorney and guidance so that we don't end up with confusion like we're dealing with right now. I'm talking
this
about
be a
this.
good-
I'm confused. Are we talking about just building it right next to a conservancy? Because no matter where you're building a watershed, if you have erosion runoff sediment, it's going to get into conservancy streams. So it doesn't matter if it's right next to it or upstream from it. If you're worried about sediment in the stream.
This is more damage to the land right next to
So
the
you're talking
stream.
about damage to the land, not
Yes.
talking about damage to the stream.
Right.
Or
We could include some of the damage, we don't want them letting lots of dirt going in and so on too.
I don't know what to say. I mean, I'm not opposed to the topic. I'm just trying to figure out what the topic is.
Well, it's just the damage to the lands, the conservancy lands. I don't know.
Is that a-
It's not-
Right.
But
I would agree.
If you're talking about going to the stream, then it's a water.
But that's an issue anywhere in the sea, like you just got to
Yeah.
saying.
permitting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's right. We're talking, we have ordinances in place for what you have to do. If the issue is being allowing to use land for construction easements, to me, that's that's not a water resource topic per se.
even if it's next to water, next to water
Again,
resources
I
considered land.
I don't think this is the meeting to debate this.
yeah, I know. We're not gonna solve
Talking
it.
about-
If you want to bring it up as a topic, we can bring it up.
Okay.
We've gone down the rabbit hole too far already.
Yeah.
Is this one I could just myself talk to Matt Fleming?
Sure.
That's Jim's decision. That's not mine.
Well, you can talk to any city staff person you want to. I don't,
Yeah, that's not city staff though. That's
That's city
attorney.
attorney.
well, it's,
Those are direct billable hours.
Yeah.
oh, well, you talk to Luke or the,
That's gonna need a little more liaison work
That's-
with internal staff to get him at.
wait a minute, so the city, there's not a city employee?
Correct.
Fortunately, we don't have doing that much work.
Yeah, we're still, We're still in the retainer mode on it.
All right, okay. Well, then I can't give a budget decision on that. I'm not going
Yes,
to.
I'm just trying to,
Yeah,
this has been a very confusing thing involving lots of city staff time.
yeah. Well,
And I would love, going forward, we could avoid it.
I think,
It's what my goal was.
okay. After the meeting, I'll just say, you avoid it by saying no easements allowed on conservancy lands, period. There, done. That's one sentence. Over.
But that's not water resource.
I don't, that's right.
Right, exactly.
That's right. It's not a water, okay.
We'll take it up at CLC.
I have,
That's-
I do have a topic I would like to broach, not sometime in the future, not whenever we have time, but we've talked about this, and I've presented about this coagulant treatment of chemical treatment of runoff. And I've been approached by several people asking about if we're interested in the city in pursuing or walking down that path to see if that's something we want to,
Such as alum.
such as alum. I say coagulant because alum's a
It's
specific
it's a
chemical.
Kleenex, not a facial tissue.
Right, yeah. Anyway, my point would be, I'd like to have a discussion sometime next month, 2 months, 3 months, about what this would really mean if we wanted to do it and what the steps would be to take it. And it's not a small thing. It's a large thing.
It boils down to cost.
Yeah, well,
I've
do
got
anything.
everything.
but again, all I'm asking for is a topic, to talk about it.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay,
Yeah,
That's all I'm asking.
yeah, that's the topic, no discussion.
Done,
Right.
done, done.
done.
Anything else? Anything else on any other topic that you want to bring up in the
As
future?
another topic, I want to know about these education for us that aren't engineers about what these methods are so that we know a little more understanding
Yeah,
of
that's part of the
Because-
discussion.
That's part of
alum
it.
treatment, what's in it and what are the residuals that could be left that could
That's
be
it's all
damaging.
part of the package. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
that I want to know.
Okay. Anything else?
Well, we still haven't reconciled the fees in lieu of. I'd like to hear
Yeah.
if you stored or not.
Yeah, I can get an update from accounting
Or
on
update.
that.
Yeah, that's still kind of hanging out there.
And also, we were talking about the two wells, whether they should be cased or replaced, and we never.
That
Oh,
is that going to be part of what Luke's?
I think we're waiting on Mike. Yeah, it would be public
Public
works
Works.
through the utility through public works.
I don't know.
Yeah, I
why
don't think-
the public works first. Why they just come here and talk to us?
Well, I think
that would bring it.
from the previous meeting, we were
Use
talking
utility.
about Public Works taking it up first, and they have not yet.
Yeah, but why do they have to take it up?
They're the water utility.
Well, I understand that, but they could. We still could have concerns and we talk to the person in
It's
charge of.
still, I think, probably under study at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything
No.
discussing that, and it'll come to us. That this is what it's gonna cost.
They are looking at it.
Oh, yeah,
Okay, and that's.
these are the existing wells.
Yeah,
Yeah.
either casing or replacing.
Oh,
That's also-
that's what you wanted to know. So when it does get decided or information is provided to the Public Works, you will report that as part of your liaison.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind having the guy come and talk to us directly, just briefly, or.
I'm not opposed to that, but
Yeah,
it sounds like he's in the middle of generating information so he can come and talk.
Yeah, we'll just get a strand guy, plain why,
Okay. Okay.
and cost comparison
Yeah.
and capacity. Which is key also.
Okay. Anything else? Future topics? All right. And what time we got here? 7:38. We're gonna adjourn. Turn it off.
I'll do that.
nice expensive. Nice expensive prints we got.
Okay, so